All right, and good evening to you as we come to you with the Gulf Coast Blitz for Monday, September 16th, 2024, show number 6 of the Gulf Coast Blitz right here on FortHSFootball.com. Yes. Make sure you're following us on our social media platforms at Florida HS Football. It's up for X/Twitter. That is at FLAHS Football. And we appreciate everybody joining us here. Also, you can download the FloridaHSFootball.com app. Hit that QR code. It's right there on your screen. Just hit that QR code. You can download it right there on your Apple or I should say iOS or Android device. I'll get it out there in a moment. Anyways, we definitely appreciate everybody joining us here. We already got the comments popping up here in the comment box. So if you got a comment, got a question, hit the comment box there on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Not Instagram, in YouTube, I should say. Got all the social media platforms on my mind now. Anyways, you can hit us a comment or a question, and might just show it right on the screen here as we roll along here on the Gulf Coast Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com. We definitely appreciate everybody tuning in and joining us here across the Sunshine State. But those particular all the way from the North Suncoast all the way down to Southwest Florida, including the Heartland region, which is Lakeland and all the stretch there, Lakeland, and where Emin William Smith is down there in Hardy County. So definitely appreciate everybody joining us here. All right, as we get ready, we're gonna talk some blitz line here. Yes. All right, rolling along here with the Gulf Coast Blitz lines this week. How about Lake Wells squeezing out a 1-point victory over Sebring, 14-13 to remain undefeated? Of course, we talked about Lake Wells and Seminole, that game that they're going to be playing this week in the Central Florida Blitz. But Lake Wells, 1-point victory over the Blue Streaks there at Fireman's Field down there in Highlands County. And it really, I mean, Lake Wells, they have had some, there's been some close moments this year. And this week, their challenger, Sanford Seminole, that is going to be their biggest challenge of the season to date. And I'll say this about the Noles here. It really, for the Noles against the Highlanders, for the Highlanders, they're going to have a big challenge here. And if they come away with a win over Sanford Seminole, that will go a long ways in terms of what the playoff rankings could look like come next week, which we'll have the Drive the State show, by the way, starting next week with the FHA playoff power rankings from Max Preps starting up. And we'll definitely get our first taste of what's going to happen. What does the playoff picture look like come next Tuesday evening around 6:00? We'll do our show. The FHA will drop the rankings usually probably about 2:00 on Tuesday, and we'll have our first show of the Drive the State with the playoff rankings starting on Tuesday of next week. Anyways, a team that we haven't really talked about much, Lake Gibson. The Braves struggling. 2 big opponents, 2 struggles, and that's 2 losses. And this week, their second loss of the season comes to Dunellen it was a 20-0 shutout. And Lake Gibson, I mean, usually when we hear about Lake Gibson, it's only been a couple of years removed. They were playing in the state semifinals and making a deep playoff run, and now all of a sudden here it is. The Braves are just sitting there struggling, and I noticed that going through some stuff, and really, really, really tough times over there off Chrome Loop Road, if I could say that correctly. I have tried to say that, and hopefully I got it right, but some tough times going on right now for the Lake Gibson Braves. But we're going to go down over a Hop Highway 98, and we're going to talk about Lakeland. Lakeland still rolling, 44-0, and they went on the road to Winter Haven and won that game pretty soundly against the Winter Haven Blue Devils. And the Dreadnoughts are just a rolling here. And they got a big opponent coming to Bryant Stadium this week in the name of Miami Booker T. Washington. So, yes, Ice Hares and his Tornadoes are coming up to Lakeland this week to take on Marvin Fraser's group. And I say what? I mean, this is going to be, it's another South Florida versus Lakeland showdown. But this time it's in the confines of Bryant Stadium, not down at Travis Powell or Curtis Park in Miami. So, the Lakeland Dreadnoughts fans, where's Nolly at? I don't even know. I haven't seen Nolly pop up in a comment yet, so I don't know if Nolly's on or not, but I'm hoping to hear from Nolly by the end of the show. And we definitely appreciate Noli when he's on watching. But Lakeland, yes, Lakeland 3-0 on the season. All right, so our guest this week is going to be head coach Mark Kantor of the Wiregrass Ranch Bulls, and this is where we're going to talk about a little bit about Wiregrass real quick here. But before, by time sometimes we get to the end of the blitz line, we'll talk more about Wiregrass Ranch. But South Sumner 1-3 after that defeat at home by Wiregrass Ranch, and yes, Wiregrass Ranch still undefeated on the year, but South Sumner 1-3. I mean, South Sumner is playing a tough schedule, so it's nothing against what South Sumner's doing. I mean, Ty Lawrence, head coach there at South Sumner, sets his boys up for being able to play the toughest competition, and they'll still be favored to win their district, which includes Eastside and the likes of Eastside and North Marion and those guys down up there in the district in Class 3A. So I really think like South Sumner, here, my thought is that they're going to have another tough test this week, but we'll see if they can actually pick up a big win this week. As a big win this week against Hawthorne will go a long way for the South Sumner Raiders. And we'll talk more about that in the Pick Six, because that is a game here on the Pick Six this week, Hawthorne at South Sumner. And again, talk more about that coming up here. All right, what in the world, Nature Coast? 3-0 last week coming into this game against Hudson, who they have struggled. Hudson has struggled, and I'm now asking myself, what in the world? 20-19, Hudson beats Nature Coast district game. Usually when these two teams meet, it's a battle anyways, but I was thinking, hey, this would be a good, easy win for Nature Coast, and Hudson, whatever it was, Hudson came with a game plan. And as they say, all you need is 1 point more than your opponent to win. And here's a fine example, 20-19. And hey, congratulations to the Hudson Cobras. Hey, pick up your first win of the season after 30 letdowns. So definitely appreciate everybody seeing that happen. Hey, always good to see teams win and everything like that, and we appreciate that, to seeing that happening. But all right, as we roll along here in terms of teams picking up big wins, how about Kantor picking up a big district win over previously undefeated Gainesville? The Kantor Panthers came up and they had a great game plan, and it was a 24/7 ball game, a game that was originally supposed to be played at Santa Fe High, ended up being played over at Citizens Field instead, but Kantor said, "Nah, no matter where the location is, let's see. We'll go on and we'll take them on." And hey, big district win for the Kantor Panthers, who look pretty good here so far this year for the most part. And we'll roll along with that. How about Armwood here? Armwood 4-0 after just pouncing all over the Durant Cougars, shutting them out. Yes, Armwood 35-0 over Durant, and hey, the Armwood Hawks, most likely they were number 2 in our 6A rankings in the FloorHSFootball.com sports media poll, and most likely will be the new number 1 team after Mandarin slid and fell 18-13 to the Bradford Tornadoes this past week. So Armwood most likely going to slide up to that number 1 slot in the FloorHSFootball.com sports media rankings. How about Berkeley Prep bouncing back against Sarasota Riverview, a 35-7 victory there for the Buccaneers. It moves them to 2-2 on the season. And hey, Berkeley Prep, head coach Chris Harvey mentioned it last year. They started slow last year, but ended up winning that state championship, Class 2 and state championship. And maybe that's what's happening here. It's Berkeley Prep starting slow, kind of figuring out the waters with their team this year. And but definitely will be a contender there in the Class 2A classification coming up here later in the season. And yes, and Mark Cannon just brought up a comment, which we are eventually going to get to here in a moment here, about how about Tampa Bay Tech edging Plant in a close 15-7 battle. And Tampa Bay Tech first couple of weeks putting some points up, but here they are. The points stayed under 20 this week against Plant in a very tough battle. So Tampa Bay Tech moves to 2-2. Plant now falls to 2-2 on the season. And how about this? 70-point games. Yeah, 2 of them happened here. And actually, there was 3 of them around the state that I know to my recollection from last week. 2 of them in the Gulf Coast Blitz zone. Cardinal Mooney, 72 points last week. Booker, 70 points. And yes, Cardinal Mooney, 72-0 over Lato. Booker was a 70 it was a 70-43 game over Carrollwood Day. So yeah, 70-point games. Unbelievable. Wow. How about that? 70 points in a game. But I don't suspect that Cardinal Mooney is going to score 70 points against their opponent this week, unless he gets into a barn burner, which we know Bishop Road has already done. So Bishop Road at Cardinal Mooney, that'll be another game we will highlight on the Pick 6 here this weekend. How about Largo? No, it's Largo and Tarpon Springs getting no respect. I've not been hearing too much talk about it. I mean, here and there, but hey, both teams are 4-0 in the season. Got to give them some respect here. I think they deserve a lot of respect here. The fact that those two teams right now are sitting in the top of what I consider to be the two of the best teams sitting right now in terms of Pinellas County teams after 4 weeks into the season. But if you got a disagreement, hit the comment box. Let me know. I mean, you can pop a comment, question, whatever, wherever you're at between Facebook, Twitter /X, or YouTube. If you got a question, we'll put it on there as well. So we'll go from there. All right. Now, this is what Mark Cannon was talking about here in a moment. It was with Manatee getting the win on the road versus Buchholz. And I'll bring that comment up here from Mark Cannon here. Manatee made a big comeback to defeat Gainesville. Buchholz looks like head coach Jaquez Green has the Hurricanes headed in the right direction. And that game, I was there Friday night, and that was that was a battle. I mean, in the first half, 7-0, obviously, first quarter for Manatee. And then Buchholz didn't get their 10 points until right near halftime to make it 10-7 Buchholz at half. But going into the second half, Buchholz was up 20-7 in the third quarter. And then some uncharacteristic penalties allowed Manatee to get right back into it. And when Trace Johnson threw that interception, it was all she wrote right there. It was Buchholz just totally went backwards at that point. And Manatee took advantage of it, and Manatee played a good ball game, 4 quarters. You know, they played whistle to whistle. They played that from the time kickoff happened to the final whistle. That's how Manatee played, and Jaquez Green had his guys prepared, especially coming off that 30-15 loss to Lowndes the week before that. They can make that another trip north of, a good 3-hour bus ride from Bradenton up to Gainesville. And, well, Manatee is 3-1, and Buchholz holds at 3-1. We'll talk more about Buchholz falling on that, but we have 8 takeaways. You can go on the FortHSFootball.com and look at that story as well. And rolling along here, Naples falters against American Heritage. Naples good, maybe not so elite, but American Heritage proves, hey, we can win. It doesn't have to be about a lot of points, 23-3, but hey, you go and take care of business along the Alligator Alley, and you go back home with a win. But Naples now has to regroup and get ready for this coming week. All right, Fort Myers and Dunbar, both of them undefeated still, and both teams have got some big games this week. Of course, Dunbar beating Treasure Coast. Treasure Coast still sitting there without a win, and we'll talk about that tomorrow night on the South Florida Blitz. Put the Treasure Coast teams at here on that South Florida Blitz show tomorrow night at 7:30 here on FortHSFootball.com. All right, now going back to Pasco County, Mitchell. Wait a second, I don't know what happened there in my slide there, but I'll put it like Mitchell and Wiregrass Ranch remains kings of Pasco County, and honestly, both teams 4-0 on the season. And with that said, we're going to talk to head coach Mark Kantor after the break with our water break and talk to him about what the Bulls are doing. 4-0, and they played a great game, 21-14 against South Sumter. And we'll talk to head coach Mark Kantor after the break here on the Central Florida Blitz. On the Gulf Coast Blitz, I'm sorry. It's already Monday night, and I'm feeling like it's Thursday night. No, just kidding. Anyways, we're going to take a 2-minute water break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk to head coach Mark Kantor of the Wiregrass Ranch Bulls. Keep it tuned here on the Gulf Coast Blitz here on FortHSFootball.com and the FortHSFootball.com social media networks. All right, welcome back here on the Central Florida Blitz. Hopefully we got head coach Mark Kantor. He can hear us on the audio side of it, but the video side, we're having a little technical difficulties here. But, Coach, can you hear me? And we're trying to figure out what's going on. The coaches, we're trying to figure out if we can. Let me work on something here because we're having a technical difficulty here with Coach's connection into the show here. So if you give us 1 second, we're going to do this. I know it's live video here, and he's been trying to figure out for the last 15 minutes. It kept coming up, and then it kept coming out. So we were hoping that it was going to come up here. But give me 1 second here as we bring it back just to me on the box here. That way, until we get Coach on and trying to figure out here. Oh, why isn't there? We go. Trying to figure it out here. So, all right, we're trying to figure out why Coach's audio is not connecting. Because I was able to hear him, so I cannot hear him on his end. I can't hear him, so I'm actually communicating with him right now. So I apologize. So. Anyways, I did see a couple of comments here. We'll go from there here, but we'll see if we can get Coach on here as we try to roll through the interview part of the show here. We apologize. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the connections don't work, and not much we can do in that part when it's on the other end. I wish I could go in and be able to try to connect it up real quick, but there's not that possibility doesn't exist. I only have certain controls I can do from my end, and unfortunately, getting the camera to work right is not one of those. Anyways, Mark Cannon says Foley's probably putting the cash together for the Napier buyout. Ooh, man, that is a touchy subject with a lot of people in this state right now. And I asked a question the other night on the social media platforms, what's going on with college football in this state? I know, okay, everybody's going to tell me UCF and Miami are 3-0. Okay, I'm not worried about those guys. How about the two teams north of I-4 that are in the Power 4? University of Florida, Florida State. And then here's my thing, and this is not to go on a soapbox necessarily here in the show, but if you want to keep guys home, you want to keep guys, that are blue chip top recruits, you got to start winning some ball games in this state. That's in college football. You got to win ball games, especially now that UCF is part of the Power 4 and they're in the Big 12. I mean, it's not even the Big 3 anymore. It's the Big 4 in Florida now. And of course, Miami's been doing some stuff there. The 3-0 already on the season, but Gators 1-2, Florida State 0-3. You want to keep the blue chippers home, you got to win some ball games, because if these blue chippers are feeling like they can't win games, they're going to go looking elsewhere. And we know sometimes the grass is the greener on the other side. And we have seen that. Some of these top guys end up going places like Alabama and Clemson, and just to name a few. But we're trying to figure out why. Let me see if I can't get Coach back on. Coach, can you hear us? Let me see if he's got it figured out here. Yeah, Coach, he says he has no idea. We'll see. We're trying to get him on. We're not being able to get him with the audio and not even really hear him because he's not hearing us as well. So, let me see there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to get Coach on the audio side of it here, and he can hear us. He can hear us. We can't hear him. So if he could give me a call, I can be able to patch him in through audio here on the show here. So we're just waiting to see if he'll be able to give me a call here as well on the thing, because I can patch him through my audio board, which is actually a great feature I do have. And we'll just see if he can give me a call here and go from there. So let's see if I can get a call now. Hold on 1 second. Let's get that. Let's see if we got this connected here onto the roadcaster. All right. Hey, Coach Kantor from Wiregrass Ranch. We're going to do the audio. Sometimes it just things break down sometimes in the way the connections happen, but we definitely appreciate you being able to take some time here on the to join us here on the Gulf Coast Blitz. And Coach, appreciate you. And first and foremost, I mean, what a start y'all have had to the season so far. 4-0. I mean, talk about what y'all have done so far, given, you're coming off a big win against a really good South Sumner team.
Well, Josh, first off, thanks for having me on the show. I wish I could get the audio and all that stuff working, and it just wasn't doing it. The person who usually can do it for me isn't home. So I apologize to all the people listening and stuff like that. But, Josh, it's been a heck of a roundtable here for the last 4 weeks. The last 3 weeks, we've had 3 total practices because of all the rain and all the wet bulb and all this other stuff that goes on that keeps us from practice. But our guys and our coaches have done just a fantastic job getting us prepared and ready to play week in, week out. And last Friday night, that was probably one of the best high school football games I have been in a very long time.
No, absolutely. And, talk about, what did you instill in the guys coming into the season? I mean, to be at 4-0, I'm sure, that's a big, that for you, it's were you expecting to be here? We don't know. We'll find out in the moment. But what did you instill in the guys here to start the season? What did you tell them, before that first game of the season? What did you instill in them to get to this point?
Well, we just told our guys to work hard every day, enjoy the coaching, embrace the coaching, and good things will happen to you as long as you listen to what the coaches are trying to instruct in you day in and day out. And we try to make the Friday nights as easy for them as possible. So they have embraced all that, and it's exciting to watch. I mean, especially us defensively, like we're flying around and we're knocking heads off, and it's exciting to watch. But our offense is going to come around here very soon, and we're just excited to be 4-0.
No, absolutely. And looking at it so far, Cypress, you beat a new arrival in Cypress Creek. You beat them 48-7. Had a close game with Clearwater 21-19 in week 2. Beat Zephyr Hills 28-14. And for beating Zephyr Hills, they've been one of the top teams in Pasco County. So you getting that win over Zephyr Hills in week 3, I'm pretty sure for your guys they were excited to get that one, considering it's a county rival.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest rivalries we got to this date. I mean, Nick Carroll does a fantastic job getting them motivated at Zephyr Hills, and they got us a few years in a row, but we're able to get the W this year. It's always back and forth with us. Both teams play a hard style of football. It's good football to watch. So we were very fortunate and very lucky to get that win 2 weeks ago.
No, absolutely. I'm not looking at this, with the district, y'all are sitting there in Class 6A, and your district, it's an all Pasco County district, and a couple weeks. This week you got Wesley Chapel. Next week you'll have Sun Lake, and then you'll have your bye week coming up, which is kind of sandwiched right there. Would say mid-season point there for y'all. But Mitchell, the other team that's undefeated in the county right now, and there's a potential chance looking at this. Both of y'all could be coming into that game on October 11th undefeated. If that happens, what kind of atmosphere will we be expecting, considering that's going to be a road game for y'all?
Well, Andy does a great job at Mitchell, and him and his staff do a fantastic job coaching their kids up. I think it's going to be the biggest game of the year that week. I think everybody's going to want to come out. They might even move games to play Thursday night just so that everybody can come watch it, but I doubt they'll do that. But there'll be a lot of people to watch that game. It's exciting to be able to play in a game that's going to have thousands of people there, because that's what the high school football should be about. People going and watching games like this and being excited to watch 2 talented teams play against each other.
No, absolutely. And let's talk about some of your guys here. I mean, you've got some ballers here looking at the latest stats here. I'm looking at Nathan McNeil's stats here so far through 4 games, and 267 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. And of course, your quarterback, the last name Rose Bailey. I got to pulling up here. Dylan Rose Bailey here. 22 of 38 passing completions and 342 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, I know you probably wish the interception number was a little lower. I know it's at 4, but still a great stat there. 342 yards so far in the season. They got 2 receivers over 100 yards already on the year. So talk about your offense here, and and what they're doing here. But I know on the other side, the defense is what wins championships, and I'm seeing some impressive stats here, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But talk about the offense first.
Well, like I said, we've had like a 3-week hiatus of being able to practice. So as everybody knows, offense is all about rhythm. And how we get in the rhythm is by practicing. So hopefully we get some great weather this week and we can get back into our rhythm of what we normally do offensively. But when you talk about guys like Nate McNeil and Bryce Randolph and Dylan Rose Bailey and even Ian Wilson, who's the other running back with us, I mean, we got some pieces there that can really light the scoreboard up. It's just, we just got to get back in the rhythm and get into our mode of how we do offensively.
No, absolutely. And looking at the defensive stats here, which the defense has been playing lights out. I mean, looking at it, 7 interceptions combined on the defense here. And then, of course, looking at it, a total of 13 sacks. And Amir Gazli, I hope I'm saying his name right, 7 sacks, 13 quarterback hurries. That's impressive for 4 games right there. He's on his way to being potential all-state type player this year.
Yeah, Amir has done such a fantastic job transitioning from where he was as a inside linebacker to playing off the edge. So we're excited with what he's been doing, and everybody on the defensive side, including the coaches, have put in great time and effort to be able to just get our guys ready to play week in and week out.
No, absolutely. And Coach, how are you feeling with everything with now the classification stuff settled over the off season? I mean, I know y'all kind of got used to being able to be in that suburban type classification. And are you feeling a little bit? Are you okay with everything right now, considering that maybe the pathway to a deep playoff run doesn't involve a team named Lakeland, which has been kind of like a team that's been a nemesis over the years for y'all?
I tell you what, seeing those guys every year is tough. I mean, they're such a great program over there, and the retired Bill Castle did just a fantastic job in all his years over there, and now the new staff that's there doing such a great job as well. But whatever the state says is what it is. We got to play with it. You can't really complain too much about it. But we're excited of the district that we're in and where we could be. We could see some different opponents, which is fantastic because we go south. So it's exciting. I mean, we'll get to see some different styles of football and different teams and different coaches. So it's always exciting if we got the opportunity to get into the playoffs.
No, absolutely. And again, Wiregrass Ranch, the remaining schedule for the 2024 season. Wesley Chapel at home this week. Next 2 games after that at Sun Lake to open up district play. They'll have the bye week following that going into week 7, and week 8 is the game at Mitchell. That'll be one. Circle that on your calendars if you don't have it on your calendars there in Pasco County or anywhere along the Gulf Coast or even in the Sunshine State. Circle that game because that'll be a huge game. Most likely those 2 teams could be coming into that game undefeated and most likely will decide the District 6A 9 championship right there. And of course, after that, Springstead at home, Land O'Lakes at home, which will wrap up the district schedule, and then River Ridge on the 1st of November. And Coach, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure, like most coaches, you're instilling this 1 week at a time philosophy with them as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I messaged you earlier, we got into a rain delay again today, but we're able to get back out. And we had to express to our kids, just because we're 4-0, that doesn't mean anything. We haven't done anything. We haven't accomplished anything yet other than that we won our first 4 games. And now we have a new opponent. It's a rivalry game. We got to go into it as an opponent that we have to prepare for with great detail and be ready to go on Friday night.
No, absolutely. And Coach, we definitely wish you the best of luck. Appreciate you being able, even though it was a few minutes late, we got you on through the audio part on the phone, and definitely looking forward to seeing what the Bulls do here for the remaining of the 2024 season, and including to that Mitchell game coming up on the 11th of October. And Coach, best of luck to you and your Wiregrass Ranch crew.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having us. We appreciate everything you do for Florida high school football.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon on the fields.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. That was head coach Mark Kantor joining us here on the Gulf Coast Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com, and appreciate everybody joining as well. We'll being able to work with us as we roll through this here with the technical difficulties here on FloridaHSFootball.com with head coach Mark Kantor of the Wiregrass Ranch Bulls. And definitely a big win for his team over South Sumner, 21-14 in week 4. Definitely will put them up there in the power rankings for sure. And again, they got this game against Wesley Chapel this week. Wesley Chapel, they've had some struggles, and could be pretty much I'll say this, it could be an easy game for them for Wiregrass Ranch this week. But let's just say this, in my opinion here, when it comes to that, at the end of the day, Wesley Chapel 2-1, but their wins have come against teams that they're also struggling. Hernando, Pasco. So for Wiregrass Ranch, get that win over South Sumter. That is going to give them a lot of confidence going into the next few weeks of the season, especially when it's in that build up and that lead up to the game against Mitchell on October 11th. All right. We're going to take a water break here. I know we're running a couple minutes behind, but that's okay. We got a few minutes to work with. We're going to take the water break. I'm going to get some water. I've got some water and tea right here next to me. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to come back, take some fan questions, because there are some fan questions and comments sitting in the box. And then we're going to do the pick 6 for week number 5. We'll be right back here on the Gulf Coast Blitz, right here on FloorHSFootball.com and the FloorHSFootball.com social media platforms. All right, welcome back here to the Gulf Coast Blitz on FloorHSFootball.com. Make sure you're following us on social media at FloorHSFootball. Except for X and Twitter, that is at FLAHSFootball. And on YouTube, hit that subscribe button at FloorHSFootball and hit that notification bell. Get notifications when we go live or add new content to our YouTube channel. And we will keep on doing that. And we will greatly appreciate everybody that has subscribed. If you have not subscribed or share it out to your friends. Share it out to your loved ones. Share it out to anybody you know. Tell them to subscribe to FloorHS Football on YouTube. We get to 1,000 subscribers, we can start to work on some other things in terms of the content that we would like to do. All right. On to the fan question of the week here. As we roll along here, get into one of my more favorite parts of the show. That'll be the pick 6. But we do have a couple of comments here, and any hints on the state finals location from Mike Edwards coming to us on YouTube. Mike, everybody and everyone and everything points to South Florida at the stadium that used to be called FIU Stadium, that is now Pitbull Stadium. That is where it's being pointed to, that the state championships will be there. But there has been no announcement yet from the Florida High School Athletic Association. I'm hoping that we have that announcement sooner rather than later, because honestly, there's not just teams that you might be expecting to be there wanting to go ahead and kind of start to get, feelers out there in terms of booking their hotel rooms. But there's some of us in the media that have got to get things situated, including myself, figuring out what's that going to look like. Considering that we already know where the World Classification State Championship is going to be, which is at the Villages on December 6th. But I have heard a possibility that the other 7 state championships will overlap the same weekend as the Rural in South Florida. But that has not been confirmed yet. I'm hoping that we get an answer here by the time the month is over with, the month of September is done with. So that is where I feel like things stand at right now in terms of the hint of any state finals location. And Mike Tactic says, what's going on with the Villages? 3 impressive wins and also a 38-0 loss to Lecanto. And that's the big thing for the Villages, is that loss to Lecanto hurts right there and everything. And pulling up the Villages schedule here real quick here. And honestly, I can say that I think, looking at the wins they have compared to that loss to Lecanto, I think that is the biggest factor right there in terms of why the Villages may not be necessarily getting the attention at 3-1 that you would think that they would get here. And beating Citrus 55-0. I get that. Oh, hold on 1 second. There we go. When I pulled the schedule up, their videos start playing in the background. Yeah. I mean, Wildwood for 34-13. Wildwood, they're on a downward trajectory this year. Southlake, a team that's actually working their way up. Southlake with head coach Brad Lord there, 36-24. Good win right there. Southlake, they're trying to get some wins on the board, and they did actually get a win on the board this past week. But Citrus, 55-0. Citrus has been struggling going back to at least 2019, at least, last good season, I think I could recall Citrus having was around 2018. So just off the top of my head, without looking. So, 3 wins. It's not against the best quality of competition. You got Tavares coming up here, Bellevue, a team that's struggling as well. Crystal River, a team that's struggling. Honestly, looking at the schedule here for the Villages, they're not going to win their district. You got Astronaut, got Cocoa. They'll probably split the district games coming up here in October, but the question will be, what does the playoff ranking look like for them come next week? We'll see what happens, especially if they do get a win over Tavares. Tavares, they're in the middle of the road type team for Tavares. So, the Villages will definitely have some a little bit bigger of a challenge this week compared to Citrus last week. So, hopefully that answers that for you, Mike Tactic. And Mike Edwards giving me the thumbs up on the answer regarding the hints on the state finals. And Mike Edwards also, he's saying he would rather drive down to Miami than anywhere on near I-4. And of course, Mark Cannon is predicting, if he had to predict it to be in Miami, and hopefully, like you and everybody else, I hope it's announced soon, because that'd be great if we can get an answer on that one. But with that said here, if I can get it to come up. There we go. Yes, indeed, it is time for the Pick 6 for week number 5 as we roll along here on the show. And how about this? 4-2 last week. Not too bad. Not too bad. And with that said, my record for the season is 22-8, or 73.3%. Not bad. Not bad picking games in terms of the games that we have picked so far here. Which actually, this will be the 6th week of picks, considering that we picked in week 0 with the Sunshine State Athletic Association starting their season a week ahead of time compared to the rest of the state. And as we roll along here, we're going to go and start down in the southwest corner of the state with Charlotte 3-0 at Fort Myers 4-0. And is Charlotte 3-0? Are they for real? We're going to find out here against the Fort Myers Green Wave, against Sam Sereni's team here. And this will be good. This will be a good test for the Fighting Terrapins. And for Fort Myers, for the Green Wave, I'm almost pretty certain that when it comes to this, the Green Wave are going to come out on top of this one. It's just a feeling that I feel like, Charlotte needs this test. Charlotte hasn't really had this test, especially against a quality opponent like Fort Myers just yet this season. Fort Myers, they are definitely a team that has been always in the playoff hunt mix every single year. And I expect a close battle, but I expect the Green Wave to come out on top, and that's why I am taking Fort Myers in this one. All right, heading back up I-75 up to Bushnell. We've got Hawthorne 3-1 at South Sumter 1-3. All right, Hawthorne. It took a last-second touchdown, quite literally 2 seconds left on the clock to beat Oakleaf, who had tied the game just seconds before that at 21-all, to avoid overtime and to potentially take their second loss of the season. And Hawthorne, again, there has been many a cracks here in terms of that they are beatable because they did get beat. They got beat by Florida Hyde the week before. But for Cornelius Ingram's group, I'm just this one's going to be tough because South Sumter, yes, 3 losses, but it's been against quality competition, really good teams. And I know those boys down in Bushnell are hungry to pick up their second one of the season. With that said, I am going South Sumter to win this game at Inman Sherman Field. Yes, this was one of my losses last week. I went against Wiregrass Ranch, thought South Sumter was going to win this because I thought like South Sumter had played a tougher schedule at that point. But as you heard Mark Kantor say, they played. It was one of the best football games he's coached in. And that was a quality signature win for the Wiregrass Ranch Bulls. But this week, I think South Sumter is going to beat the defending Class 1R or the defending rural state champions this week. And that's why I'm going with the Raiders in that one. All right. Battle of the Catholic schools down along the coast. Bishop Verot at Cardinal Mooney. Bishop Verot 3-1. Cardinal Mooney 4-0. And, Cardinal Mooney coming off a 70-point win this past week. 72 points to say exact against Leto. Not the best competition. Leto definitely been struggling here for a very long time. So definitely when it comes to the terms of the quality of wins on the books, definitely not that. But Bishop Road 3-1. And honestly, I think looking at it, given the competition that Bishop Rose played versus what Cardinal Mooney has started out with, this leads to my decision here to take Bishop Verot in this game against Cardinal Mooney and hand Cardinal Mooney their first loss, hand the defending Class 1S state champions their first loss of the season. All right, before I get on to game number 4 here, Mark Cannon, yes, he does bring this up, and it's a very good point. Charlotte Fort Myers, an old school rivalry game. You know what they say about these rivalry games, and they can go any way on any given Friday night, regardless of where they're placed on the schedule. Be it week 1, be it week 11, be it week 5. Good old school rivalry, and hopefully maybe it might be a slobber knocker. You know, we don't say that word enough, slobber knocker. And we definitely have some high school games that become slobber knockers every single year, and this one could be one of those type games come Friday night, and we'll have to see what happens between the Fighting Terrapins of the Charlotte High School versus the Green Wave of Fort Myers. All right, rolling into game number 4, Tampa Bay Tech 2-2. Just had a fight-off plant there to get their second win of the season. Hey, they played a strong schedule out of the gate. I mean, their 2 losses are to Venice and Armwood, so, I mean, you can't really complain about that with Tampa Bay Tech being 2-2. And, of course, Gaylor's only loss is to Armwood, 3-1. So, common opponent right there between these 2 programs. And both are ranked right now. Both are ranked this past week, I should say, in Class 5A. And this is going to be a good battle. Tampa Bay Tech, they came out scoring points at the start of the season, but they've been kind of slowed down a little bit. Gaylor, they took the loss to Armwood. It was not a pretty loss by any means, but for Gaylor since then they have picked it up quite nicely. And but I feel like the strength of schedule when it comes down to it, I think Tampa Bay Tech just has that edge here, and that's why my pick this week is for the Tampa Bay Tech Titans. Of course, Tampa Bay Tech ranked number 9 last week. Gaylord number 10 in the 4HSFootball.com sports media rankings in Class 5A. Most likely both teams will still stay ranked. And the top 10 in Class 5A this week when the new rankings come out on Wednesday. All right. I'm going to take a little sip here because my throat is getting a little dry here, and as we're trying to wrap it, I was hoping to hold it off, but not so fast. All right. Game number 5 here. Booker T. Washington at Lakeland. Booker T. Washington 3-1 at Lakeland 3-0. And Tornadoes, the only reason that Booker T. Washington has one less game on their schedule is because they had a game that was postponed against Miami Palmetto, and that game still hasn't been made up yet, finished to completion. And Booker T, they've been in some tight battles here so far this season, but they picked up their win last week here, and I'm going to pull it up here real quick because I've got it right here on my sheet here. Yes, Booker T. Washington, 35-20 over Immaculate LaSalle, who had been previously undefeated. So Tornadoes coming in off a win, of course. Lakeland coming in off a win, 44-0 at Winter Haven. But this is Bryant Stadium. Okay, we know teams from Miami can come up and beat Lakeland at Bryant Stadium, but I don't think this is that situation here this week. And that's why I'm taking the Dreadnoughts to win this big game here against another foe from South Florida. And this week, another big one that is on the schedule. Cocoa 3-1 at Venice 4-0. We talked a little bit about Cocoa in the last show in the Central Florida Blitz, but this is a big game, and man, this is a tough one. Because Cocoa can win this game. Venice is not like IMG Academy. Let's put IMG Academy in a different basket. Venice has been scoring over 40 points per game so far this season. But the other thing about Venice on the other side is they've been giving up 40 points a game or more each game they have played so far this season. All right? And this is where I feel like it's going to be a challenge here for the Indians. But again, this is so tough. All right, looking at it, yes. They've given up 40 points against Tampa Bay Tech. They gave up 42 against Northwestern. They gave up 56 against Bishop Row in week 3. And then they give up 41 to Port Charlotte. Again, Venice has no defense right now. I think this is going to be Venice's Achilles heel. And I said there were 3 games that potentially Venice could lose. One was the Northwestern game. The other, Cocoa, IMG Academy. Well, actually, I felt like there was 4 games. I feel maybe it was 3 games. I know there was 3 games. I know Cocoa game was one of them. Clearwater Central Catholic's another one. I mean, we're coming up here. You still got Cocoa. You still got IMG Academy. You still got Clearwater Central Catholic. You got those 3 games. I think those are the 3 big games right now that are locked on the schedule for Venice that they could lose. But as I pull it up here, I think Cocoa is going to win this one because of Venice's lack of defense. When you're giving up 40-plus points a game, you're eventually going to get caught. And Cocoa will catch you on this one. I know this is a home game at Powell Davis Stadium. I get that. But I have seen it before. I've seen it with my own eyes. A team can come into Powell Davis and beat you if you're Venice. And Cocoa is going to be one of those teams that's going to do it this week. Because they will play lights out defense. All right, you take that ING game and put it in a different basket. When you look at Cocoa, if you take that game out of the equation, and we're talking about the Cocoa Tigers here. I mean, we're talking about the amount of points they have given up. Yeah, hold on one second. There we go. When we're looking at the amount of points that they have given up here versus the amount of points given up, like the total amount of points, they have given up 57 points. 34 of those were to ING Academy. The rest of them, 10 to Titusville, none to Mainland, 13 to Heritage last week. Cocoa is playing stout defense, and it's going to catch Venice here. And because Venice has no defense, based upon the amount of points they have scored here, and giving up, I wouldn't be surprised if Venice doesn't score 40 points this week. So there's another prediction. So that's why I'm going with Coco for this one. Anyways, with that said here, we'll see if we have any more comments sitting here in the question box, and we don't. But with that said, we appreciate everybody joining us here on the Gulf Coast Blitz for week number 5, our 6th show of the Gulf Coast Blitz. Of course, tomorrow night we have the South Florida Blitz. And Najee Tobias from Muck City Media, which was just launched. Najee also works for CanesCountyArrivals.com, and Najee's been around actually on the Muck City area type scene with Belglade and Pahokee and then around Clewiston for years. We'll have him on the show tomorrow night, 7:30 to 8:15 on the South Florida Blitz, and then we'll have Mike right out from Main Street Daily News and the Prep Zone up here in the Gainesville area on the North Florida Blitz tomorrow from 8:30 to 9:15 p.m. here on FloridaHSFootball.com and FloridaHSFootball.com social media platforms. Make sure you're following us again on social media at FloridaHSFootball, X/Twitter. That's at FLAHSFootball. With that said, we're going to wrap it up here. We appreciate everybody watching here tonight on the Gulf Coast Blitz. We'll see you tomorrow night on the South Florida and the North Florida Blitz shows here on FloridaHSFootball.com, or we'll see you next week for the Gulf Coast Blitz and the Central Florida Blitz on Monday nights. Till then, have a great night, everybody.